So we're going to jump back into Stephen Bradshaw's testimony to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and he firmly blames what could be perceived to be a lack of disclosure on the lawyers, saying, I've disclosed these things to the lawyers before. The fact they've not picked up on it, even though I'm the disclosure officer, means it is their fault. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Can we look at poll 000599729, please? This is a letter to Cartwright King, the 15th of February 2013. This is within a matter of days from the correspondence that we've just seen. And it says as follows. It says, we enclose in duplicate copies of a notice of additional evidence, the statement of Stephen Bradshaw and Abdullah Patel, and an up-to-date page count. There is no further disclosure to be made in this case. So pausing there, it seems as though, in fact, it was only your statement and this statement that we've just seen that was served on Mr Ishhaq.
The other statement might have been said earlier. I do recall that name, Umar Lacourt.
We will have a look for that additional statement. It then says, we note that your client has said in his defence case statement that the Post Office Horizon software/hardware system had in the past on numerous occasions malfunctioned, causing difficulties in reconciling sales, receipt and stock figures. Please let us have particulars of the numerous malfunctions to which your client has referred.
I mean, it's hard, isn't it, as a non-software development professional to be more specific than he's been there, hasn't he? I mean, you can look into that, hasn't it? There's been some malfunctions, it's caused difficulty. Yeah, you could ask for some more details on it, but there'd be something for them to start looking at, you would think, with that information. Namely, the known errors log at Fujitsu, maybe?
Do you think that that was a sufficient response to the various issues that Mr Ishhaq had raised with the Horizon system?
As I say, they're the lawyers. They will respond in their way.
That wasn't really the question.
No, but they're the lawyers, aren't they? You know, I can't control how they reply to anybody. And in this case, I just read that as they're asking for what particular issues, what the malfunction was. That's how I read that.
As somebody who was the investigating officer, the disclosure officer, who had been reminded of their duties under the Criminal Procedure and Investigations Act, do you think that that was a sufficient response in the particular case to the serious allegations about the Horizon system?
As I say, that's the lawyers answering that, not me.
That's not an answer, though.
But I don't have any control over what they say.
You can have a view on what they say, and what is your view?
Look, my view on that, I don't see anything wrong with it. They're just asking what the malfunction was on any particular occasion.
By 2010, we've established, you were aware of all those computer articles, you were aware of a growing body of allegations about the Horizon system. You were aware of the Seema Misra defence experts report, a whole host of evidence. Do you think that the response in this letter, in Mr Ishhaq's case, was sufficient?
It seems sufficient because they're asking what the malfunction was.
But I think the counterpoint to that is that you're well aware of the malfunctions that are occurring by this point through the numerous pieces of evidence that Julian Blake has outlined there, and that you had something to go on. This wasn't the first person to say there was issues with Horizon, and indeed, you know, they've had experts look at it in other cases. Other people have put forward similar claims. At the very least, some professional curiosity would surely trigger the Post Office and organisation to look into this as a potential valid concern, because presumably you want your system to work properly, and if you don't know whether it's working properly or not, or somebody's saying it's not working properly, presumably that is something you would want to look into much more closely.
So they're just asking what went wrong on a particular occasion. That's how I read that letter.
Could we keep this letter, please, and can we look at it side by side with poll 0059675? This is the letter you received questioning about whether further inquiries were made and whether a full audit had been undertaken since Mr Ishhaq had finished at the post office. If we could scroll down on the left-hand side, you can see. Do you think that letter was sufficiently addressed in this response?
As I say, I'm the small cog in this as the investigation officer. The lawyers would deal directly with the defence lawyers, and it's is it up to me to sort of say? I don't see anything wrong in what the reply in the letters.
I think the point being driven at here is it's not addressed at all in terms of an audit in the reply. Not, so how can there be a sufficient response to that when there's no response whatsoever from what we're looking at?
If we could keep the one on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side, could we please put up poll 000582554? And it's page 4 of that, please. It's paragraph 11, so if we scroll down, these are all the paragraphs that I took you to about all material to the knowledge of the prosecution that reasonably supports the contention that Horizon software/hardware system has proved to be unreliable, full results of any internal investigations, etc. I mean, looking at that request that was set out in the defence statement, do you think that that answer on the right-hand side is sufficient?
As explained on numerous occasions, I will react on any instructions from the solicitors.
This is the 15th of February on the right-hand side, very shortly before the trial. The trial was 10 days later. Do you think that that final sentence, please let us have particulars of the numerous malfunctions, placing the burden on Mr Ishhaq to identify the malfunctions, do you think that that was an appropriate approach to take so close to the trial?
As you're well aware, things go straight on up to the trial day. And so, as I say, I will act on any instructions from these solicitors. Cartwright King are asking for any malfunctions. And, whether I don't see anything wrong in that paragraph, as I've said.
We have seen, though, instructions of the solicitors to the investigators to confirm that they've disclosed all relevant material, including that which may undermine the prosecution's case and support the defence, and that doesn't seem to have happened with regards to information outside of this case, such as the information from Seema Misra's case prior to this.
You're the disclosure officer. You've received a defence statement requesting quite a lot of material relating to the Horizon system. Very shortly before the trial, the answer is, you're not getting anything else. Please let us know what you say the problems are. Do you see a problem with that?
That's from the lawyers. As I've explained previously, I will disclose all information I have, and the Cartwright King in this case, they're the ones who deal directly with these defence solicitors, and if any information is required, I will assist Cartwright King in obtaining the information on their instructions.
One thing that you haven't passed to them is wider knowledge of problems with the Horizon system that's been passed to you over the many years in post, 13 years by that stage.
And as explained before, as far as I was aware, the criminal law team, Cartwright King, are all well aware of this, as you've shown me in previous documents.
That being the case, there would be no issue mentioning it again if you're aware of other information which should be disclosed.